You know what really bothered me most after watching The Reckoning? It's how many people still can't recognize manipulation even when it's right in front of their nose. And that includes the jurors.
We've come to an agreement, and we're only saying that he's guilty for these 2 counts. My words exactly were O-S-H-I-T.
Do you think that justice was served?
100%. We saw both sides of it and we came with our conclusions.
I wouldn't say they were intentionally being cruel, but they allowed it because they couldn't see what the untrained eye cannot. But if you've lived through dysfunction, abuse, emotional chaos, then you can see right through the BS. Not because you're special, but because you were trained. For me, that training came early inside my family system. For a long time, I didn't recognize it as manipulation. That's how manipulation works. What feels normal inside of a dysfunctional environment doesn't feel dangerous until it costs you years of your life. And the irony is that they don't even have to silence you. They get so deep inside of your mind that you silence your own self. If you've learned anything at all from my channel, let it be this: that evil hides behind smiles, charm, and the familiar. So in today's video, I'm breaking down what the jurors got wrong and why everyday people misjudge victims, and most importantly, how you can learn to recognize the manipulation before it hooks you. Let's peel back the layers. When you compare the trial outcome with what's revealed in The Reckoning, it's jarring. Jurors said things like, there wasn't enough proof. Some of the victims didn't seem credible. They could have just left. Or it was hard to believe. And this is exactly the problem. Because telling yourself, I would never fall for that, feels a lot safer than admitting, I probably could. Research shows that survivors often appear flat, confused, or detached due to dissociation. Their memories can be fragmented, and their emotional expression may not match the severity of what they endured. In trauma psychology, this is normal, but to the untrained eye, it looks like deception. So when jurors saw survivors stumbling through their testimonies, switching emotions, pausing, forgetting, they interpreted it as dishonesty. But to the trauma-trained eyes, we recognize it as survival. In the trial, survivor Jane, when describing her abuse, her affect was flat, almost numb. And because she didn't cry on cue, jurors dismissed her and took that as a lack of credibility. In a study on people with PTSD, they found that emotional numbness in trauma survivors doesn't mean that they aren't feeling anything. In fact, their emotions can switch very quickly from neutral to negative, negative to neutral. And the faster this switch occurs, the deeper, more severe the trauma. And this could help explain why someone like Survivor Jane could appear flat, unemotional at times in court. It's a normal trauma response, not a sign that she's lying. Why didn't they just leave? This question comes up every time, and it exposes a major misunderstanding. Trauma bonds don't operate on logic. They operate on chemistry. And research shows that trauma bonds mimics addiction. The brain becomes chemically addicted to intermittent reinforcement. Hope is a very powerful thing. They hope that the abuser will finally change this time. Or they get attached to the good version of the abuser and completely dismiss the abuse itself. Trauma survivors stay not because they're weak. They stay because their nervous system has become attached to the cycle of fear and relief. Now I want to share with you the part most people never learn. How to see what's beneath the surface, and not just what's presented. Seeing people clearly requires that you slow down and shift the way you pay attention. Most people only look at the surface, how someone talks, how put together they are, how confidently their words land. but the surface is just a mask. What you want to look for is the pain behind the mask. People act far more from fear than they do from desire. Intense reactions are often memories in disguise. Instead of taking everything literally at face value, notice the patterns. What do they repeat? Where do they get defensive? What do they exaggerate? What do they project, avoid? And if you want to get really good at reading people, practice deep attention. Not in a judgmental way, but in a curious way. Think of people like characters in a film whose motivation you're trying to understand. If you want to truly understand someone, stop listening only to what they say and start tracking what they do consistently. People repeat what they haven't healed. Maybe they yell because they're scared, or they push people away before they leave them. Maybe they use charm on everyone because they're hiding something darker. Patterns tell you who someone is long before words do. It's shaped by their history and the choices they made over the course of their life. Pay attention to the cracks and silences. Manipulators leak truth in moments of discomfort. Watch out for over-explaining, sudden defensiveness, or quick topic changes. Silence often reveals way more than words ever will. Manipulators will overcompensate. The louder the performance, the more something is being hidden. This is why so many abusers gravitate towards the spotlight. Attention becomes a shield, a way to cover the parts of themselves they don't want anyone to see. They use charm and status to distract, and confidence to hide their insecurities and darkness underneath. And the more applause they get, the easier it is for them to avoid looking at who they really are. Manipulators love to project. What they point out in others usually reveals more about themselves. When someone constantly calls others a liar, manipulator, ungrateful, or fill in the blank, they're actually telling you who they fear they are. Research shows that until people heal the wounds that they didn't even realize they were carrying, they'll continue to replay their childhood roles in friendships, family dynamics, even with strangers. Abusers and survivors repeat their childhood scripts. Abusers recreate domination and control. Survivors minimize, disappear until they realize that no one's coming to rescue them. They've got to do the work and rescue themselves. You don't need to be a psychologist to spot manipulation. You just need to slow down. Deep attention means paying attention to someone's behavior over time, noticing how they treat people who can't offer them anything, paying attention to what they do when they think you're not watching, and of course, noticing how you feel when you're around them. When you understand where someone comes from, the systems they grew up in, the roles they played, the dynamics they repeat, their behavior stops being confusing. The most confident people don't need to be right. They can hold two beliefs at once. I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. There's a terminology for this in psychology. It's called cognitive flexibility. With that in mind, remember, abusers are often the people we least expect. Your first assumption might be, there's no way. But when you take a step back and look at it from a different angle, you start to notice things that you would have missed the first time. Flip your assumptions. It opens your eyes to what's actually happening instead of what you assume to be true. Let me make this simple. If you want to avoid manipulation, watch how someone handles boundaries. Track consistency, not appearances. Notice defensiveness when questioned. Pay attention to how you feel after interactions. Look at patterns, not promises. Manipulators rely on one thing: that you'll doubt yourself before you doubt them. When you stop doing that, that's when their power shrinks. The real tragedy in the reckoning isn't just what happened behind closed doors. It's how many people look straight at the truth and still couldn't see it. When we don't understand manipulation, the vulnerable gets hurt twice. Once by the abuser, and once by everyone else who couldn't see what's right in front of them. If the reckoning showed us anything, it's this. You don't have to be a psychologist to see the truth. You just have to be willing to look deeper than the surface and remind yourself that evil oftentimes doesn't look like evil up close. And when you learn this, you not only protect yourself, but you protect the vulnerable. Thank you for watching and listening. If you gained a little bit of awareness about how to spot a master manipulator, do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, share, so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you. See you next time.